You realize people are going to be, well, hopefully people are going to be seeing this. Hello and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who have been keeping up with me, I have recently started a wedding series of all things wedding and this whole process, because I'm sure a lot of you future brides or current brides have a lot of questions out there. So hopefully we can begin to answer those. And who is this, by the way? This is, oh yes, the mother of this check. This is my mother, so she has joined us today. So in today's video, we will be talking about 5 things you should know before you go venue shopping. You guys know, if you've been following along with my journey, we saw a lot of venues. I think the grand total was like 13. And these are just the 5 general things that we kind of narrowed it down to that we believe are the most important things to think about, talk about, consider before even touring any venue.
Yeah, kind of have to do a little bit of homework before you get in a car and go out.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is a lot of time, energy. You want to be sure you're not wasting your time or theirs. So before we get into this, I think something really important to note is that when you are venue shopping, basically a good place to start is Google. Literally, if you have no idea where to start, or you have no idea what venues are out there or what you're looking for, go to Google and type in things like venues near me.
Outside of Google, there's an amazing website called The Wedding Wire.
Yeah, I'll link it down below.
Yeah, you put in your zip code and everything. You tell them what you're looking for from a venue, you tell them what your dates or time frame is, you tell them your vendors you're looking for, and you get a variety of things that are near and around you. And you get to go through them and look at them all before you've even like made any decisions on anything. And then you actually can message them there, and they can message you back, all without even leaving your house before you've done anything. So Wedding Wire.
Exactly.
Really cool.
So that's a good source as well. I made an account on Wedding Wire. I put this generic email together, and then literally with a click of a button, you can just send all these mass emails out to all these different venues on their website. So I would highly recommend doing that first, and then to keep track of all the emails and responses, I would also recommend putting together a spreadsheet. Thank you to Alex for giving me that idea. He has made me a lot more organized, so thank you. And definitely being organized during this.
Where have you been for 27 years?
Definitely being organized throughout this whole engagement and wedding planning process has been a huge help. Basically, I created a spreadsheet, literally just keeping track of all the venues I emailed. I put their contact information, and then I left a column for me to write emailed on July 17th at 2 o'clock. Put that all in a 1-page spreadsheet, so it's all in one place.
Can we really talk about 2 of your 5 know before you goes that they really should do even before they Google or go to Wedding Wire? Number 1, what is your budget? Because you can go out and you can email everybody, but if you don't know how much money you have to spend, then you're going to waste somebody's time and yourselves. You're going to fall in love with a venue, and then you're going to realize, I can't afford it.
Okay, so number 1, think of a budget.
Write that number down. Okay, so then number 2.
Number 2.
Know how many people you plan to invite. Let me give you a little example. I had an exercise, and I said, write them all down. I want you to write down yours. I want Alex to write down his. Let's see how many people we have on there. They're getting ready to write down. They're like, oh, we know it's going to be, you know, I don't even know, 100 people. I think we want 100 people.
Yeah,
That's about
sounded
it.
good.
Sounded good. So they sat down, and before you know it, oh, we were at about 180 people. Now, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it is your wedding, but when you get ready to go look at venues and you find out how many people does it hold. If you know you're inviting 180, don't go someplace that holds 125. Don't do it.
Just don't even look at it. Again, your emotions are going to get involved, and you might fall in love, and then you'll say, well, I guess I got to kick 20 people off of my guest list somehow. That's really good to definitely figure out before you even put yourself out there. Contact venues, look around, shop around, because you don't want to get your emotions involved. So you got those two things figured out. Now it's time to search for these venues. Maybe
well,
you
there's
don't.
maybe one more before you search for them.
What is it?
You gotta know the time of year, the season. Do you want to have it indoor? You want to have it outdoor?
I guess you should know that before
You kind of need to know that before you start sending people notes and saying, hey, like if you live in Florida and you're like, I want to have a summer wedding. I don't know why you would ever do that.
Well, I'm having a summer wedding. Did I make a mistake? No, because I'm having it indoors. So that is the solution. That is the solution. There is compromise. But I've also been to a ton of weddings, and I have definitely been in situations where I can't even focus on the ceremony because I'm either sweating, or I can't even see the ceremony because I'm like blinded by the sun.
And then how about the ones where the sky just opens up and it is a monsoon?
Yes, I've heard of those stories as well, which can end up making really cool pictures. But I just want my guests to be fully present with me and Alex at the ceremony and be comfortable and be able to just enjoy that moment with us.
We are not dissing people who decide that they want an outside wedding.
Definitely not.
Because
I've also been to some very beautiful outside weddings.
The moral to this story is, where do you live? The time of year where you're getting married. But you know what's really cool you can also do on Google? Is you can go on Google and in your city and you can research on this day, the day of the week for the last 5 years, day of the week and month, what has the weather been like? Just from a consistency.
And you can see the history of
if it has rained every year on that day or week for 5 years, you might not want that day of the week.
Yeah, just be aware of, you know, what your city's weather pattern is like and what experience you want your guests to have. You want them to enjoy your wedding just as much as you are. You brides out there, it is all about you. Don't settle for less than what you want, but also just leave a little room for flexibility, maybe some change and a little bit of compromise.
And at a minimum, when you do start looking for venues, and if you have opted to go outside, always ask them, is there a backup plan?
Yeah, definitely think about what type of wedding you would like to have, what your vision is, and then once you know your budget, once you know the guest list, and you have your vision of I want to be outside, I want to be in a church, time of year, yes, I want it to be a fall wedding, whatever it is. And once you have those 3 little buckets filled, now can we go to Google and Wedding Wire?
Not really.
Think of something else.
Yep. There's number 4. This is actually kind of important, and people don't always necessarily think about this, which is, do I want to get married in the same room that I'm going to have my reception? Do I want a separate venue for my wedding and a separate one for my reception? Do I want them at the same place, or are you good with a changeover room?
When I was venue hunting, that was a priority for me, was that I wanted separate spaces for each portion of the wedding. The ceremony to have its own space, I wanted the cocktail hour to have its own space, and I wanted the reception to have its own space, so that I wasn't using the same room multiple times. Right. I don't know, that just kind of stressed me out.
Now for smaller weddings, it actually probably works really well.
Yeah.
From a change out, from a smaller wedding.
Of course, all of these options can be very beautiful and very budget friendly if you do it right and put in the time and stay organized. But I'm just sharing with you guys kind of what my perspective was and the things I wanted and what I looked for, in hopes that it kind of gives you an idea of what to keep in mind and all that good stuff.
Now go to Google and the Wedding Wire.
Now we are at the Google portion, finally. So now you've searched for your venues, and so you've Googled, you know, indoor enchanted garden wedding venues around me, which was
her Google.
My Google search, because I wanted that romantic garden feel, but I also wanted it indoors. So once you've narrowed it down, you've sent those emails out to the ones that line up with those 4 things, now you can make that spreadsheet and then also make your note section of maybe some things you did like about that venue when you looked on their website, or maybe some things that stood out to you, so that when you go and tour them,
like twinkly
you can look
lights.
for those things in person. And then also, when you have contacted those venues, keep notes of that too. And the ones that do respond, go ahead and set up those tours, because that's the next step.
It worked great. I loved her spreadsheet.
Yes, again, I
So, we're
can't
gonna
say
save
it
it.
enough. Be organized. And I can answer any more questions about that spreadsheet, or even show you guys, or even walk through it in another detailed video if you guys would like. Just comment down
call
below
it the spreadsheet.
and let me know. So we have made it to our final
5. So number 5, and you do have to think about this, is do you want plated or buffet at your dinner? Now, there's many venues that will say, no, you're just renting the venue. You got to go find the caterer. You have the other extreme where you have the venue say, oh, you only can use me, and I only offer this. So once you start getting into these venues, which 9 times out of 10, they're not telling you on their website because they want you to come visit them, you have to make sure you ask. Do you do plated, or do you do buffet, or do you do none? And that will help you decide.
Yeah, but you still got to know the answer to that question, so that if the venue says, go find your own caterer, when you look for caterers, you know what to look for. Caterers that do plated, caterers that do buffet. So it still is an important question. And if that is a priority for you, like it was for me, like we really cared about having the plated experience, because from the guest perspective, since I have been a guest at a lot of weddings, I've always enjoyed the more plated meals, because it just makes me feel fancy, and I don't know, you can just relax and eat and have some good food and be able to watch everything that's still
It's like a
going
restaurant.
on. Am I the only one who feels that way? I don't know. So I've always preferred plated. So because I've liked that experience as a guest, of course at my wedding, I'm like, I want to give that experience to everyone, and I want to have that experience for myself.
Let me share with you the opposite side of doing plated or buffet. So buffet, here's what you have to think about. You need to make sure you have enough food so you don't run out. Whereas plated, you know how many people are coming and each person already has their portion. Then you have to worry about how many stations do you have.
Although I have been to a lot of buffet weddings, and they've been beautiful, and they can be well done if you are organized
Yes.
and prepare for those lines.
And maybe if they're smaller.
Or have enough stations so there's not lines.
Yes.
There's definitely pros and cons to plated and buffet. Recap.
Budget.
Guest list.
Time of year, separate place for a venue, a wedding, your ceremony. Are they separate? Are they the same? And number 5 we just did?
Plated or buffet. So maybe also, while you're thinking of these 5 things, make a little checklist on the side of your priorities, the things you care most about, so that when you are touring these venues and you're making these hard decisions, you can go back to that checklist and say, okay, which things am I willing to compromise?
What are your non-negotiables?
Right, how high up or down low are these things on my checklist? Because maybe I don't care so much about the venue, maybe I don't care so much about having all these people at my wedding, or maybe I don't care about the food, and so you can kind of go back and forth of what you want to compromise on. With those 5 things and having those answers before even going into a search, before even contacting these venues, really, really helped me out. So it helped me find the one, and it only took me a couple weeks and 13 venue tours, but it was all worth it. So these were the 5 things to know. Of course, there's probably a lot more. Again, if you guys have any other questions about this or want to know more about my experience venue touring, please do not hesitate to comment down below. Let me know your questions. But other than that,
That's it.
Mother,
Out of here. You're welcome.
joining. So until next time, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.